I just, mindful of all that's going on, I think we should remember, and the governor alluded to it, Roy Fryerman, who you'll hear from in a moment, was the prime sponsor of a bill that showed that New Jersey was going to walk the walk. We changed our own charitable deduction, or actually our income tax deduction, from $10,000 to $15,000. So, Governor, you should be applauded because many of us here, especially in the 27th District, were a great beneficiary of that law. Thank you for that. I also just have to reference a little bit off topic the greatness of, under the direction of the governor, of this Attorney General. And I know the people that in this room have the same kind of heart to the things that he's been doing. Whether it's Trump administration's environmental policy that's rife with climate denial and leading to promulgation of burning of fossil fuels, whether it's Neanderthal-like policy that impacts the LGBT community, whether it's incendiary immigration policy, born of racism with the purpose to divide. And by the way, General, congratulations on the victory on the census question that won't be there. You've been an amazing Attorney General. And now it's using the courts to take on the draconian tax policy, disproportionate impacting residents here in New Jersey. You know, the mayor mentioned, some of these numbers before. They're worth repeating. They're daunting. Almost 50% of the households in our state take a SALT deduction, and those averages are close to $18,000. So think about that. On the average, half the households in our state lost $8,000 worth of deductions based on this law. That's outrageous. It's unfair, particularly by the fact that we're a donor state with 71 cents coming back to us of the dollar that we all send to the federal government, particularly with things like, as we're in the backyard of a great New Jersey transit hub where Gateway still hasn't been funded. It's an outrage. Now, Steve Mnuchin has been mentioned a couple times. One of my favorite quotes of him was when he was asked about the $16 billion that this was going to impact really around the whole nation, that was going to be that much by way of lost deductions. He said, come on, Mayor, just cut your budgets. Why don't we undo the great education system here in South Orange, Maplewood? Why don't we cut down on public safety relative to the great firefighters and police that are here, Vic? Outrageous as it relates to what that suggestion is. And I say to Secretary Mnuchin, and the Attorney General touched on this, beyond the 8 states that tried to do what we did as it related to creating this manner in which to claw back what's fair in ours, there's 33 other states that have programs very similar involving saving for college education, donating to domestic violence shelters, open space. They're all at peril. So fair is fair. If this law doesn't meet muster, then nor do any of those, and guess what? Many of those, frankly, are in red states. I, love to think of this quote as somebody, as many of you, that tries to find compromise and reason. But a patriot that was across the other side of the Delaware River, Peter Muhlenberg, who was a preacher, great Lutheran preacher, and he would be on the pulpit, and there was one particular time in 1776 when he said, there's a time for words, and then there's a time for action, and with that, he took off his preacher's robe and donned a military uniform. Now, God knows I'm not suggesting that there be any violence or conflict in that manner. Our courts are in play, led by this great Attorney General for the purposes of bringing around peaceable conflict and doing it in a way that's fair and within the rules known as the Constitution. So New Jersey, as the crossroads of the revolution, I predict, General, will be the place where equity will prevail. So with that, I'll turn it back to Governor Murphy. God bless everybody.